Welcome back to Turnbull Custom Guns. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to be jeweling this bolt. This is a Winchester Model 70 bolt that I just blued. I taped off the bluing and polished a strip here that will be jeweling. And so with jeweling, the shinier it gets, the better end product you're going to have. They recommend going up to 400 grit as a minimum or 500 grit. I like to hit it with Jeweler's Rouge after that. So this jig here, B Square makes it. It's what we're going to use to be able to index our rotations when we jewel. And it also is a great holding fixture. This particular part has two ends, so it can fit multiple bolts. So you can see that's the one we'll use for the Model 70. And the other end goes in the firing pin hole. So we'll get this set up in the jig, and we'll get it set up in our milling machine. Okay, so we've got our jig set up in our milling machine, and one of the devices we're going to use to do this engine turning or jeweling is a wire bristle brush. You notice we have two O-rings on here. These O-rings are to help keep the bristles from spreading too much. The more O-rings you have on it, the tighter circular pattern you're going to have. You can run one or two O-rings. You can run three if you want. I usually run two of them. They also use heat shrink tubing that you can put over this to do the same thing as well. So we're going to get this set up in our Jacob's chuck, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the other part that's going to be giving us our scratching or our circular motion is this 120 grit compound. As it comes, it's a little too thick from Brownells. So we're going to use a little dew drill to thin it out some. I'm going to go get my little bristle brush there and mix that up. Very similar, probably the same thing as a valve grinding compound. Something like that. All right, so that's where we're going to start our pattern. We are also going to start it on the bottom. So then if there's an overlap when we come around, it'll be on the bottom of the bolt and it won't be very obvious. There. So let's go ahead and we'll start our first row. We're using, I don't know how many RPMs, but a fairly fast speed. Doesn't need to go slow. And we're also going to determine on this first one how much down pressure we're going to apply. And I'm going to set my stop on my mill machine so that I can exert the same amount of pressure on every one. If I can get it to move. There we go. I'm going to take this off here for a second. So there's our first swirl. So we're going to take an offset us. We're going to move over and we're going to do this pattern all the way down the row. This is and I set the stop here so I can use the same amount of pressure for every time. Okay, now that we've come to the end of our first row, we have some decisions to make. I just noticed that we also didn't get that whole thing on film. I like to offset a half a turn so that my next row is in between the center of these. You can just rotate it and do the same circular pattern, and all your swirls will line up this way and this way. I like to do an offset pattern. So I'm going to come over half a turn on my lathe handle, and I'm going to rotate my bolt, and I'll start my next row, and we'll put some more of this yummy stuff on here. So I have also over here, see, I've indexed to our first mark. And so every time we move a row, we'll go to the first full mark all the way around. If you have a tighter jeweler pattern, you can go to the half marks. We're going to do the full marks. All right, so let's get going. As you can see, we got a lot of back and forth to do. There we go. We went all the way around. And I'm not going to lie, it takes a little bit of patience to keep moving stuff around, but I think this will turn out pretty good. Now, what we need to do is we need to rinse this off with a soft brush, maybe a soft toothbrush. You don't want the grit compound to be scratching up your jeweling as you're cleaning it off. So let's go get this thing cleaned up and see how it turned out. Well, doesn't that just pop nicely? Well, there's our nice new Winchester jewel bolt. And you can use the same procedure on Mausers and remingtons and anything else that you'd like. Thanks for watching.